little more Browns. A quick reminder that Yahoo Fantasy is the official fantasy football sponsor of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We're back on fantasy this year. Thank goodness we overrided Bull in his decision to switch away from Yahoo. And whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league, Yahoo is the fantasy league you need to be using to celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness. Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. It all begins on August 4th. Stay tuned and get started by creating or joining Yahoo Fantasy Football League at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That is yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. And let's make this fantasy season the best one yet. Gee, we teased it a little while ago, but pads come on for the Cleveland Browns today. They practice at 2 o'clock, their first padded practice of training camp. You mentioned and kind of teased it in our quarterback conversation, but what differences are there in practice, and what little nuances should we be looking for now that pads will be on that maybe we didn't see in just shorts and jerseys earlier? How much of a difference do the pads make, and how much of a different evaluation will we get from these guys considering they're actually in their game-worn new stuff?
It's night and day. From the first standpoint, it's the physicality up front. The 3 days I was out at camp, I wanted to take a look at the offensive line, and they had an offensive, individual period, and there's a renewed sense of footsteps, worrying about where you're going, making sure that you have power steps, making sure that you're getting off the ball pad level. It's you could get a little bit of a look when you're doing it without pads and helmets and things like that. But now things like pad level, things like how you run the football, things like how you come out of breaks, all of that stuff is more evident. You're going to be able to get a much cleaner look and see exactly what guys can do. And in terms of the quarterback situation, now you have, and Myles Garrett is coming off the corner, and now it's more physical. Now we can see where guys can push guys into the backfield. I noticed on Thursday, Dylan Gabriel, he has some issues when the football or when the pass rush is in his face, when the pocket is closing and he has to find a window over 6'8" DeJuan Jones, and he got to move and step up. He kind of tends to sail passes high because it's an obstruction of his vision. Also, you're gonna figure out with the snaps. Now, when you're snapping the ball to the quarterback, now you got somebody putting hands on you, knocking you in the backfield. The snaps, so you're gonna be watching this, whether people get that. Now, instead of 7-on-7s, there's always a physical presence available now, because now people is looking like, I'm going to put the forearm on you real quick. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go ahead and give you a little extra out of that bump. So everything ratchets up physically. And Kevin Stefanski had something the other day, Pearl. I saw it on Instagram. And he was telling them, guys, hey, it was hot out here today.
Get used to it.
Get used to it. You saw that too? He said, get used to it. It wasn't you notice, this ain't no Greenbrier action.
Nah.
This ain't at the golf course.
That's why I brought up that point. Like, when they get out there today, it's going to be about 96, 97 degrees. And I think that's perfect for how training camp is being ran this year. When I was out there Wednesday, I saw the offensive line coach and the defensive line coach communicating a lot, working in unison. Mm-hmm. We all know football is won and lost in the trenches, and you truly can't get a real evaluation of your overall team until the pass come on and you see what your trench play look like. Mm-hmm. And so it's exciting to see, this offensive line go against what I believe is the best unit on this team, the defensive line. I'm excited to see Mason Graham actually put on pads, line up next to Myles Garrett, and see how that looks, right? That's exciting. I'm excited to see guys like Isaiah McGuire and Alex Wright, that's on the opposite end of Myles. What improvements have they made from last season, throughout this offseason up until this particular point? When the pass come on, man, the fatigue level is different. When the pass come on, the physicality is different. When the pass come on, the vision is different, right? Everything about just the whole process is gravely different, and you're going to really see who are truly game managers and game breakers, starting with this practice. I think the heat is going to play a pivotal part, but the Browns need, this type of training camp that's going on. They need to be out there in the heat. The practice need to be physical, and I hope that Kevin Stefanski have as many full padded practices as he possibly can, because That's how you're going to get a true evaluation on either one of these quarterbacks. That's how you're going to get a true evaluation on the players that's playing in the trenches. That's how you're going to get a true evaluation on some of these receivers, right? So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting times, and I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Jay, look, I'm going to keep it real. Quinn Sean Judkins hurt. That hurt their soul. They were going to run this man ragged in a good way, and now they just signed another dude off the practice squad. Right. Somebody from the UFL or
34
something.
ain't been available the whole first 4 days.
We have not seen Jerome Ford at camp.
I know.
You got Dylan Sampson. So, but Kevin Stefanski says, guys, the only way you're going to build your body up physically and get that is to be in practice, and it's hot, and you got pads on and hitting. So we're going to see what it's going to be, because this whole thought process that we going back to this run thing, that sound good. But will your offensive line be able to hold up at that age?
I don't think so. And they don't have the bell cow. I mean, I still think Judkins may end up being the bell cow, but he's not here. So,
and there's no sign of when he's. They're very mum about it.
No, I mean,
I've heard nothing.
I mean, I would. Somebody told me if I were a Browns fan, I would take him out of my mind until at least week 7.
Probably further than that.
I hope not. I asked that question. I said, "Is there a chance that this could linger beyond that?" He goes, "Oh, there's every chance in the world it could." But based on precedent and what we know, it's most likely going to be 6 weeks. So, he reminded me of this. I'd forgotten about it. We were both at ESPN at the time. He said, "You remember Ray Rice?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You remember how that pivoted when the video came out?" Yeah. I said, "Oh, listen, I've never seen video change a story."
Didn't he get 2 games?
Initially. And remember, the league and the fans, there were fans that were going nuts. And then they said, well, we're going to look at and then the video came out. And he never touched a blade of grass in the NFL again.
The video was so bad, people forget Ray Rice was good.
Well, now listen, here's the thing. Ray Rice wasn't just good. Ray Rice was
the
Pro Bowl caliber at the peak of his career. Yeah. And here's what I was reminded that I don't know that I forgot about it, but I was reminded of this for sure. The accusation is he punched her in the mouth. What do you think that looked like?
Pictures always.
Not just a grown man, an NFL specimen punched a woman in the mouth. What he said is what I fear. Let's hope that a airport security camera or something didn't catch this.
I mean,
because think about how, and why have we not heard anything? I don't know. I would like to hear something, but I don't know if there's a negotiation going on between his lawyers and the woman that filed the charges, the alleged victim in this case. I don't know what's going on, but I agree with you. There's an information desert going on that we're rolling through here, and that scares me.
And I think that's why, like, these kind of conversations, man, we got to be very, very careful because we know very little. I hope there's no quote-unquote negotiation going on.
I would hope not either.
Like, that shouldn't be a thing. But I think about this a lot from Andrew Berry's standpoint. You know, Andrew said that he loses sleep at night because of these and not necessarily because of what happened, because of the vetting process, right? It almost like, damn, man, I thought I crossed every T and dotted every I when I was doing my evaluation of Quinn Sean Judkins, and now look. And so because of decisions made in the past by this organization, you find yourself in a very peculiar situation with Quinn Sean Judkins because you can't give him any guaranteed money. Like, if you give Quinn Sean any guaranteed money, that's a bad look on the organization, right?
Because it comes back to people going to say, well, you already gave Deshaun Watson this guaranteed bread. Like, Mike Hall Jr. was at practice a couple days after it happened, right? So this is why, and look, all those situations, and we done talked about this before, and it's frustrating, but when he said he loses sleep at night, I said, oh, well, they going through it behind closed doors. They are. Like, and here's the thing, Jay. I know we keep saying, yeah, they're going to be bad. Yeah, they're going to be. Listen, I'm here to let y'all know something, man. The Judkins thing happened. You let Nick Chubb walk, who, by the way, is the number one back.
Number one back.
Texas.
Just wait, guys.
Number one
Joe
back.
Joe Mixon.
So you know my co-host of the Ultimate 216 show
Boy.
also
Yeah.
works for
Yes.
the Houston Texans
Yes,
organization.
absolutely.
Boy.
And I've actually so numerous times. What's the vibe on Nick Chubb down there in Houston? Oh man, they love him down here. They
Well,
excited.
on that note, we
They
need
can't wait
Jonathan
to
Wells.
see-
Can we, guys?
yeah.
Can we? I can reach out if we
Yeah,
need to, but we need Jonathan Wells on the show.
And
Jonathan works for the Texans. And
Yeah, I'm
Jonathan-
into Jonathan.
No, that's
I'm
my
into
guy.
Jonathan.
So here's what I'm hearing about, and not only is Nick Chubb the best back on the Texans roster right now,
he healthy.
I've been told that you'd never know he went through what he went through.
He
Guys,
healthy.
our nightmare.
I,
And you know, when you break up with the girl, the world you should live in is, I don't care what she does, go do her thing. I hope she's good. I hope she's happy.
But,
Not
then she
if-
got
But when you
but she got
find
a
out that
doctor's
she's with
degree.
the big man on campus,
Not when
that
you
doesn't
was-
feel the same way.
not when you a Scorpio. Under no circumstances.
Under no circumstances.
Dude.
Not when you was, hey, G, tell him.
Under
And
no
circumstances,
circumstances,
you moving on, talking about you doing better than you.
I need you to
I'm
do
a cancer man.
please.
I'm like, you be you.
I
You
know.
a water sign, so you
I
should feel the same way.
No, I don't, man. I'm like, you.
I want you to be mid at best. Mid at
Mid-emotion.
best.
You see,
Mid-emotion
I
at
don't.
best.
I want him to be. I love Nick Chubb, and I want him to have a 1,200-yard, 10-touchdown
Now,
season.
Nick, nah.
I do. And here's why: Nick Chubb is a tremendous human being. You guys, is this going to be the first thing we got wrong here in Cleveland?
Bro, we
is that
tried
going
to
to be the
tell him.
reason we don't win the Super Bowl
We
this
tried
year?
to tell him.
No, we got all kinds of stuff. to
21 gonna be on red zone like this.
I heard-
Listen, I hope he is.
I was coming out the driveway and I heard them say, I don't even be listening to Sirius XM. They said, and news out of Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Mixon will be out until the first game. He better be on that Kenny Pickett game, because I'm going to tell you what, Joe Mixon, you might want to get back in a hurry, because when they see it and they asked Nick Chubb, they cut to the. I said, this has to be divine information for me. They go to Nick Chubb at the press conference and say, yeah, right now, I'm it's a 2-year injury. I've been down in the place where I'm doing all the my training I've done from day one, and I was able to do everything that I've been doing. So I'm just, I said, this is wild.
Yo,
No. First of all, what's wild to me is seeing him wear a Houston Texans shirt in the interviews or in uniform.
So
I gotta tell you,
you've
that
heard-
just
you've
dings
heard-
my soul.
you've heard what I've heard, man. Nick Chubb is down there. He looks healthy.
Oh.
He looks fresh.
Put
he
Jonathan
looks
Wells
rejuvenated.
on
This
the
is,
docket. We gotta get him on because
So
I think
good.
we've had him on before, haven't we?
we did. We had Jonathan on many
I'm sure I have
times.
his number.
This
So
is,
good.
I've got it. If you need it, I can reach out to him and get him on. But
This is the problem. I know that we said that they got all the time in the world, but if you Andrew Berry, you gotta be sitting up at night saying, yeah, I got these draft
he
picks,
losing sleep at night.
but did I set this up for the next guy? Under no
He
circumstances,
losing sleep at night.
no circumstances do I feel. Listen, now Kevin Stefanski looked like he didn't have a separate conversation. He looks completely unbothered, Jay. It looks like they done told
He told AB, that's your problem, not
the
mine.
unbothered. I was looking intently. I said, dang, Kev looked fresh out here. His beard was looking trimmed up. I look at what's the name? I look at Andrew Berry. He dressed in all black. He like, listen, Nick Chubb is balling. Judkins ain't even under contract.
Help.
Kenny Pickett that
Help.
pulled a hamstring week 1.
Oh, Lord.
Joe, I'm trying to figure what's going out. Now, here's the problem. That don't say 6 wins. And on top of this, we still looking for a receiver.
Yo, and the receiver you signed ain't even working with the first team.
He over there on the side. And your boy, big body, he looked like he's supposed to be a 3,000-yard receiver.
And here's the crazy part. You draft a
And 19
quarterback.
is hurt.
You draft a quarterback that's left-handed that totally, if he hypothetically was to be in the fold, makes DeJuan Jones locking down the left tackle position totally irrelevant.
This is
well, it
wild.
makes it.
They
not
got all
totally
kind of
irrelevant,
problems.
But your right tackle better get a lot better.
They got all
crazy.
kind of problems.
This is crazy. They already down to the.
You know what it feels like? I love this analogy because it's so true. It feels like we're building the airplane while it's in the air. And here's what that means. If you're going to have an undertaking as important as taking your body and a lot of weight off the ground, you better have a plan. And it better be a really good plan. And then, if you lose an engine, you better have a really good backup plan.
And a good pilot.
Or you could say, you know what? I see everybody's flying these days. Let's see. buy one of those Piper Cubs off the internet. Let's see if we can get this thing up in the air. And then you get it up in the air, and it's rickety, and the engines are bad, and the wings are flopping, and you're like, okay, now what do we got to do to make this thing stay in the air? That's what I feel like we're doing with the Cleveland Browns. Other teams have a plan. Like the Steelers, what are they about? They're about defense. They've got a point on the horizon. And by the way, that point has not changed over 50 years with stability and ownership. They've had 3 head coaches in my lifetime. They've had, very few general manager changes. They know what they got a blueprint. And what they do is they just take the parts when they get bad, and then they go over to the part factory, the draft, and they find new ones. And they're really good at finding new ones. And that's how you keep the plane in the air and make it better at the same time.
They just go to Ohio State and find them.
Yeah, they do, after we pass on them.
Yeah.
What we have is you see the plane up in the air and black smoke's coming out of the engine, and it's all rickety and wobbly, and you hear the engine start and stop, and like, oh God, this is going to be a dumpster fire. And you look out, and then the window goes down in the airplane, and you see parts flying out. I don't know if these parts, I don't know what this means. Let's get rid of that. Boom, there goes Baker Mayfield. I don't know what this is. Whoa, there goes Nick Chubb. Well, where are you getting your parts? And are they reliable?
Well,
That's what I feel like as a Browns fan.
Reliable is the premise of our next question, whether or not a certain guy can stay healthy